Don't mock. I'm not a fool. And people who know me personally know that I am not a fool. But I won't get into the details of those. I just want people to realize that I'm not a fool. Don't mock. I'm not a fool. Don't mock. I'm not a fool.
So hey there, it's Tony here, and welcome to episode 70 of the Dumb Leaders podcast. Now, for those that have been listening to the Dumb Leaders podcast now for a while would know that I'm a bit of a tragic rugby league fan, and I support the St. George Illawarra Dragons. Some would say I'm a long-suffering fan, but I just wanted to share an observation. So, as many of us know in Australia, the NRL, the National Rugby League, kicked off again on the 28th of May. And my team, the Dragons, were playing the New Zealand Warriors on Saturday the 30th of May. And I found it really interesting. There was a really interesting observation. And it's based around a very simple concept that I talk to with leaders all the time. I'm always sharing with leaders. And even back in episode 68 of the Dumb Leaders podcast, I shared this in terms of what I call lip service leadership. Now, this is a bit of a derivative of lip service leadership. And it's all about empty words. It really is about empty words. Because what I saw with the Dragons on our Saturday game was you had empty words. You had really serious empty words. And when I talk about empty words, this is like having a vision or a values system and you display it openly, right? You put it out there on the wall. You let people know this is our vision. These are our values. But remarkably, often the culture is completely different. You know, you might have a culture statement up on the wall saying we will respect, and then what you see is bullying, and what you see is a lack of respect, or what you see is fear. So the behaviours and the values are actually, the behaviours and our actions are actually determining the culture, not the values up on the wall. So it was with maximum interest when I saw my Dragons getting ready to play on Saturday, the 30th of May, because in the middle of the dressing room, they had their chairs in a circle, and in the middle was this circular mat. And on the mat was the famous Red V. The Dragons are known as the Red V. We've got a famous jersey. It's a white jersey with a red V. It's very famous. And it's very storied. It's a much storied jersey here in Australia. So they had the famous Red V, and then they had words around the outside of the circle. Now those words were really, one was Team First, another was Aggressive, and another word was Relentless. So they were the three concepts that had been placed onto this mat. Aggressive, Relentless, Team First. And the minute I saw it, because we have been poorly coached now for probably the last 6 years. Well, he's been under contract for 6 years, incredibly poorly coached for the last 3. And when I saw this 3-word doctrine, I just realised that we were in for a big, long, arduous afternoon. And we were. Because the words were empty. The words were empty. It was the case. So obviously somewhere along the line, and we've had a 9-week, I think, break because of the COVID calamity. When a leader resorts to putting words on a mat, all that tells us is that someone took some time to put words on a mat. They haven't taken the time to shift the culture, to shift the behaviour, to shift the expectations, to put in the work that's required to hold people accountable. And that's the work of a courageous coach. That's the work of a courageous manager. The ones that are active on the shop floor or the front line or whatever it is that you want to call it, they're the ones that are out there making the cultural shift, not words on a mat. So, what we ended up seeing, the team played poorly. They lost 18 points to 0. It was empty words. The team played without courage, commitment, drive, aggression. There was no passion. There was no spirit. There was no unity. They were insipid, uninspired, and slow. Yet the words on the mat said that they should have been aggressive, relentless, and team first. Empty words. And we see this in organisations all the time. Empty words. Culture is bred by behaviour, not by placing 3 concepts onto a mat. And the work isn't done when we come up with the slogan. The work isn't done when we come up with the vision. The hard work starts when we've come up with the vision, because that's the holding people accountable part of it, which most leaders will find incredibly uncomfortable and they don't follow through. Now, the coach for the club has been under pressure for many years. The performance of the club have not improved. The club is no closer to a premiership. In fact, they're worse off than what they were when they started 6 years ago. And in all honesty, most of the fans are sitting back just waiting for him to be sacked. Relying on words on a mat to get your team ready for the big game? Please. It ain't gonna happen. So, and that's exactly like the executive who relies and talks up their culture based on that plaque of the wall. It's the domain of the dumb. That's what dumb leaders do. Culture is built on behaviours, it's built on mindset, it's built on our actions. It's not built at a one-day workshop where everyone walks out with goosebumps and misty eyes. It's built in the tough grinds of the day-to-day. And that, my friend, is what better leaders do. Thanks for listening to the Dumb Leaders podcast. Check out all the lessons from lousy leaders that are over there at dumbleaders.com. Until next week, I shall see you then. Bye for now.